introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, my guest today is named Dixie Sutton. I have known her for years through many of the programs that I taught and coached. But for the last 2 years, I know her in person because I moved up to where she lives. And I'm so grateful because she comes to our potlucks and really goes all out, bringing delicious food. And one of the most delicious things I've tasted at any potluck that she often brings, she calls pot roasted vegetables. It's a starch and veggie lover's dream. She's going to show you how easy it is to make today. And also, we're going to get to know her a little bit and how she lost almost 100 pounds eating basically starch and vegetables. Please welcome Dixie to the show. Hey, so did you ever think you'd go from the Zoomunity to being on Chef AJ Live, Dixie?
No, no, I did not.
Well, you watch long enough and anything's possible, right?
But I always thought that I was a success story. Um, so it makes me happy to be on your show because I do consider myself being successful now that I have made the big time to Chef AJ's show.
Nice. Well,
But
I want to hear your story. I want to hear how you lost almost 100 pounds, when you did it, how you did it. But I know this recipe takes a little bit of time to cook. So why don't we start with the pot roasted vegetables?
okay, I'm calling these pot roasted vegetables because what I wanted to try to copy was that the recipe, or excuse me, the vegetables you used to get when you or your mother made a pot roast. Remember those back in the old days?
I
You'd
loved
make a pot,
those.
you make a pot roast, and after it would start getting some juices in the bottom of the pan, then you put the vegetables in there. And usually it was like carrots and potatoes and celery and onions. And then you would put those around the pot roast and cover it with foil, and the vegetables would soak up the juices from the meat. So I wanted to copy that, of course, without any meat. So I thought, well, I can do this by dipping it into vegetable broth. So let me give that a try and see if it worked. So I made it the very first time I made it, and I took it to this potluck. I thought it was really good. Chef AJ says, "This is the most fabulous dish. You have to make it on my show." I said, "I've only made it once before. I'm not confident enough to make it on her show." So that's how come I've been bringing it to potlucks many times, is I've been making it over and over to make sure I had the recipe right. But everyone seems to enjoy it, and I usually come home with an empty dish. So I'm going to show you what I make and what you're going to need. You're going to need a baking sheet, just regular baking sheet with a seal pat mat, or you can use parchment paper if you'd like. You're going to need a big bowl, and I have a big bowl here, and you're going to need vegetable broth. And you can use any kind of vegetable broth you like. The one I have found that I really like a lot now is from Local Spicery. It's called the Bada Bing bouillon. And
I
oh my
agree.
gosh,
It's my favorite. It's the best.
this is like a game changer. I'm telling you, this is so great. And I only have to store this in my cabinet. I don't have to have the big boxes. I don't have to deal with all that packaging and what to do with, rinsing it out and putting it in the recycle. I'm also using the Cellulicious salt substitute that comes from Local Spicery. This one doesn't have any black pepper in it, which means AJ can eat it. But
Right.
you're welcome to use any
Well,
type of seasoning you'd like on this.
you're
I'm
using
gonna,
two of my favorite things. Now, Dixie, I agree with you about the broth because I did a show about, additives and glutamate. And what's
mhm.
great about Local Spiceries products is there's no added MSG hidden. There's no glutamate. There's no nutritional yeast, which for people that are sensitive can be a problem. What is your ratio of Bada Bing to water that you're using?
I'm using 1 tablespoon, which is what it says on the packaging, 1 tablespoon to 1 cup of boiling water. And you stir that up. And it's that easy. So you can add that to soup or anything else you'd like to have it with. It's very, very good. I was really impressed with it when I tried it. You're also going to need for this recipe, you're going to need a cutting board, you're going to need a knife, a peeler, you'll need a spatula. For the vegetables, you're going to need Yukon Gold potatoes, sweet potatoes, zucchini, yellow summer squash, mushrooms, bell peppers, onions, Brussels sprouts, carrots. I think that's it.
Yeah. Have you ever thought
I think
about
that's
putting
it.
parsnips in?
No, I have not. That's actually a vegetable I've only used a few times if it's in a recipe. But it is one I should try. Actually, any root vegetable that you want at all would work for this. I am using a little cheat here because this does take a lot of chopping. So I'm reducing the chopping by using the Trader Joe's fire roasted bell peppers and onions package.
I love those. That's one of my favorite
I
products.
love those.
When they are
too.
out of it, I get so sad because there have been times where they have been out of it for like even a few months.
We went to 2 stores to get this in 2 different towns. I hate that when you go there and they say, oh yeah, that'll be in on Thursday, but you're going, it's Tuesday, and I live 12 miles away from the store. You know, gas is almost $6 a gallon here now. I got to come back. But anyway, those are the things you're going to need. So what I do is I start out with peeling my potatoes, and then I rinse them to get any excess smoosh off of them, and I take them and I cut them lengthwise. Can you see this? I'm cutting it lengthwise. And then I put the flat side of the potato down. And I'm just trying to make all the pieces of the vegetables the same size. So I'm shooting for a 1/2 inch. So I cut this up. And then after I cut it up, I throw the pieces into my bowl with the broth in it. And I let them sit there. And I continue with that until I have all of the vegetables cut up. And it's basically the same thing all the way through. And I let the bowl get full before I start taking the vegetables out of the bowl. Let's see, I don't need this anymore. Sorry if that made a lot of noise. So then I take the vegetables out of here and I just align them put them on a cookie sheet or a baking tray. So used to saying cookie sheet even after all these years, because mainly vegetables get cooked on it instead of cookies. And you just throw them on here anyway, so they will fit on the tray. And if you see, I've already have some on here. Let me try to squeeze these in anywhere I can. Okay, then get this out of the way. Wash my hands off real quick. This is a little messy, kind of like a play with your food type of a thing. So then you end up with a tray. Now this is my Yukon Gold potatoes and my sweet potatoes. And then I just take the Cellulicious or whatever spice you want and just sprinkle that across the top.
You were at the last potluck and Nick was there, the owner of Local Spicery.
Yes.
Was he aware that you were using 2 of his best spices for this?
You know, I don't know if he knew that or not, but I did have it written down on my ingredient list on my list of items that were inside the dish. So I have one tray here. As I say, this is Yukon Golds and this is the sweet potatoes. And then I have another tray. And this one, can you see this tray? This has got Brussels sprouts, carrots. This is yellow summer squash. This is a zucchini. These are mushrooms. And this is the bell pepper and onion mixture. Now, if you don't want to use the bell pepper and onion mixture, you can just use sliced bell pepper and onions that you cut yourself. So you take these, and now that big dish that I make for potlucks, I usually use 3 trays. So I'll have 2 trays of the potatoes and just 1 tray of the other vegetables when I'm taking that. But that makes an awful lot of food.
Yeah. And are you using fresh Brussels sprouts or the frozen
No,
ones?
these that come from Trader Joe's, the frozen ones.
I love you are using all of my favorite products and my favorite spices and my favorite vegetables.
I'm trying to make it easy, because if I had fresh vegetables, I'd have to be, trimming those and cutting them also. So then you take these and you put them in the oven at 380. Now the potatoes are going to take a little bit longer than these other vegetables. So I usually put the trays with the potatoes on first, and I give them a 1/2 hour to cook. The other ones, they take about 20 minutes to cook. But with them, when they both get to about 20, I start poking them with the fork just to see how they're going to come out. So let me slide these in. And with the magic of the internet, look what I found inside the oven.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! There's already one done. Let's see if I can move this over here. Here we go.
I
Can you
love
see?
eating that over rice, like over wild rice, over brown rice, really any grain.
Here we go. Can you see it? Oh, it's delicious. It smells so good.
It's so good. It's really the best roasted vegetables I've had, and it doesn't need anything on it. I mean, you could put more,
No, and you can
but
change this up. Say you don't want to use the Cell Delicious next time, use the seasoning from, I don't know, Costco. I mean, any type of seasoning you want. You can make your own blends with this. This is your own recipe. I mean, this is one of these things that this is a roadmap to roasted vegetables. You could do whatever you want with it. If you don't like Brussels sprouts, don't put the Brussels sprouts in. Put whatever vegetables you'd like in it. I think it's wonderful, but it's one of these dishes that I like to make a lot of. I mean, I live alone. My boyfriend Rich comes over 4 nights a week, and we often have, well, we always have dinner together. If we're eating here, I will make this to like what he likes because he doesn't like Brussels sprouts. So wouldn't put the Brussels sprouts if he was going to be in here. Before the show, I put the Brussels sprouts in. But I think it's a fabulous dish, and it's not just a one-night dish. I mean, I can have it this way tonight, but tomorrow night, for instance, I can take this and I can put just make a cheese sauce to put over top of this and dress it differently, or I can put a flavored balsamic vinegar on it, which would change the taste a little bit to dress it up. Also, this could be taken and cut up and then thrown into a skillet with a little bit of vegetable broth and turn it into a hash. You could also take this and make it into soup, which I think is really terrific because I can take the extras of this and put it in a bag and Ziploc bag and throw it in the freezer. And then whenever I want to make a vegetable soup, I can bring this out and just throw it in with broth and a can of diced tomatoes and put it in my Instant Pot for a couple of minutes and it's done. I've got a pot of soup made. So I think this is very fantastic.
I do
And
too. And it's
I've also
versatile.
been experimenting with it a little bit more. And what I have done is I've taken the same vegetables and I filled it up into this type of a pot, a colander type pot in my Instant Pot. I fill this up with the vegetables instead of putting it in the oven. I put it in here and I don't go the trouble of using the bowl and dipping the vegetables in there. So this way is actually a little quicker and cleaner because there's less things to wash when you're through making the dish. But I'll take the uncooked vegetables, fill this up with them, and then I'll put a cup of the broth inside my Instant Pot, turn it on for 2 minutes, and then do the immediate release afterwards, and it's done. And it tastes very much the same. I was so surprised. I go, wow, that's also a game changer. So if you don't want to do the sheet pan experience, I do like to cook by sheet pans, especially when it's cold. And we had a nice, warm, sunny day yesterday, and today we got this rainstorm. It's like, oh, what happened? But those are the type of days I really like to run my oven. Other times, like when it's hot in the summer, I like to use my Instant Pot. I use my Instant Pot a lot, and my microwave. I use that a lot also. My stove top, which is over there, gets very little use unless I'm making a stir fry. This can also be used into a stir fry also if you wanted to use those vegetables. Well, anyhow, that is the dish. And I think it's fabulous and everyone should try it.
Well,
And again,
everybody that has tried it has loved it. Dixie, you have a little bit of extra broth. What are you going to do with it?
what am I going to do with this? Right now, I don't have any plans for it, but I'll probably put it in the refrigerator, and then the leftovers of this, I'm going to put and make it to a soup out of it. That's probably what I'm going to do with it. But I'm not going to throw this out. I mean, this is like liquid gold. It's not going to be thrown out.
Nice. How long do you actually like marinate the vegetables in the broth? Do you ever like do it overnight, for example?
No, I have not tried that.
Okay.
I
So
have not tried.
it's just kind of a quick dip, huh?
Right. Well, it takes me a while to, I mean, this is a big bowl. So it takes me a while to get the vegetables all cut up and thrown in there. But I would say like at least 15 minutes that they're in there.
Nice.
maybe 10. Just depends on how quick I am at concentrating on cutting up my vegetables. But mainly it's for the potatoes. I want the potatoes to get in there and soak that up. The carrots and the other things, the peppers and stuff, I don't think they soak up as much as the potatoes soak up. But again, I think this is a terrific recipe and everyone ought to try it.
I hope so. And speaking of trying it, let's talk about trying a plant-based diet specifically for weight loss. You've lost 93 pounds. I like to say almost 100 because it is. I'd love to know your story in terms of when and how.
Oh, my story is a long story, and I don't want to bore you with all of it, so I'll try to give you a very short Reader's Digest version. My story started with the excess weight loss. When I met my husband, he liked to go to restaurants a lot. And I thought it was fabulous that he was taking me out to eat often. Well, I ended up putting on a few pounds. And by the time we got married, I was weighing 124, which looked really good on me. No problems there. We got married in 77. And I went to, we went on our honeymoon, and we took a 6-week car trip. And on that 6-week car trip, we ate out every meal at restaurants. So I came back from my honeymoon weighing an extra 8 pounds. That was the start of my first diet. And I was on many, many diets over the years. I do have a list here somewhere from my many, many diets. Here we are. I tried the Cambridge diet. Have you ever tried that one? It's nasty powdered soup.
Oh my gosh, I do remember that name. I remember Scarsdale and Stillman and all those different ones.
Yeah, I didn't do those last two you mentioned, but I did do Nutrisystem twice. And I remember Nutrisystem in the 80s cost $800 for their program, and then you had to buy their weekly food. And that was like another $40 a week for their food. And I did that twice. So I was successful on it. But again, they gave you the meals to eat. And as soon as you stopped eating their meals, the weight came back. I did Weight Watchers 3 times. I did the Atkins diet. I did the cabbage soup diet several times. Slim Fast. I did Slim Fast many times. I used to think that Slim Fast was a really good emergency food. And when we moved to the mountains, I thought, oh, I will get cases of Slim Fast when it's on sale and stock it up out in the garage in case we have long power outages. We can always eat Slim Fast for as emergency food. But that never, the Slim Fast, again, as soon as you stopped eating that, went back to regular food, it came back. I tried hypnosis. I tried the South Beach diet twice. I was successful on that. And that's how come I tried something more than once, is because I had success with it. So I went back again. I also tried skipping meals. I tried the McDougall program. Finally, I tried it once and I was very successful with it. The reason I tried the McDougall diet was, by this time I was in my 40s and I was having health problems. And with my health problems, my doctor would start threatening me with putting me on pills for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, GERD, the acid reflux, and for low potassium, which I'd forgotten all about that until I was looking at my paperwork here. So in my 40s, I had tests done for colonoscopies. I actually had that done twice. One time they just came up from the rectum, and then the second time they did both ends at the same time. So I had the endoscopy, colonoscopy twice. I had a swallow test. I had a stress test. I had barium enema and a sleep test, all in my 40s. And then they removed my gallbladder. And I certainly wish I had not had my gallbladder removed, but at the time, all my doctors were telling me that was what I needed to do. So then I had that done, but I kept letting my weight get up. And of course, it's all on me. I was under a lot of stress. I had a lot of people around me who were very sick. And then I had a job that was very, very stressful. I had just compounded. Sometimes you think that there's just so much stress on your shoulders that you just can't handle it. Well, I was to that point. I was telling my coworkers that stress is killing me. And actually it was, but I was allowing that to happen. And the doctor, he was, I would get to the point where I got to go to the doctor. So I go to the doctor and he would, be harping on me about the pills. And he'd say, okay. And I'm going, I don't want any pills. I'm not a pill taker. I'm not even good taking vitamins. So I'm not a pill taker. So it's like, okay, you got to do this or we're putting you on the pills. That's it. So I said, okay, fine. So this is my, come to Jesus type moment. I have to take control of this. So I would get on the diet and I lost, I would lose 30 pounds and that would be enough to stop my doctor and stop the pills. Well, then, a couple of years later, here I am. I've got, I'm pushing the 30 pounds back on again. I'm feeling all the other problems with the high blood pressure and high cholesterol and everything. And I go to the doctor and here's the same thing. So this happened 3 times. The third time, I'll see. So the first time I lost weight with the South Beach diet. The second time I lost weight with the Dr. McDougall plan. So then the third time I went back and he said, no, that's it. You're done. You're getting on the pills. So I went on the pills, and then I hung around mainly in the 180s, and because I'd still lost some weight. But if I stayed in the 160s, that's where I didn't have to take any of the pills at all. But as I started creeping up, things started happening, and it's like, okay, I got to do the pills. So I was on the pills for a while, and my life changed. My husband died, my other relatives had passed away, and I'd gotten to the point where I've got to take control of me. I got to take, my husband's not here to take care of me if I get sick. It's all up to me. And I had taken care of a lot of my relatives. I had to, haul them around to doctor's appointments and shop for them and all that sort of thing, and watch them in their nursing homes and die from various diseases. But everything that they had was all food-related illnesses. And I'm like, I can stop this because, they all started with the same pills that the doctor now has me on. They all started with the high cholesterol, the high blood pressure, the acid reflux pills. But it's like, that's the same thing. I'm following the same path that they did. I don't want to end up in a nursing home or having my daughter care for me. My daughter at the time, she had a young infant, and it's like, I don't want to burden her with having to take care of me. I don't want to spend my dollars or my time in the healthcare profession. I don't want to have my calendar to be full of doctor's appointments and tests and this sort of thing, which I have seen several other of my friends do. So it was up to me to take control of all of this. So I had, last had success with the Dr. McDougall program, and that was when I really felt the best with doing his program. So I got back on that program, and that was January 7th of 2013. And at that time, I had a cold the week before. That was the only reason that I did not start on January 1st. So I had a cold, so I delayed that for a week. Well, you know what? That was 2013. I have not had a cold since. And I was just, that's so exciting to me, just to not have a regular cold, to not be sick. But anyway, I started that program, and that was going well. But, I'm living alone, and there's no one here to monitor what I'm having. I was able to have a clean environment, so that's good. That made it a whole lot easier, making sure there's no junk food in your house. I'm all for the clean environment thing. If I can't reach the food, I'm not going to eat the bad food. But anyway, that was successful. But I decided I really needed a community. I needed someone else to hold me accountable. So I started looking online. Meetup had started then, so I joined Meetup, and I found Sacramento Vegan Society and Linda Middlesworth. And Linda Middlesworth at that time was having a program where she coached you for a month. So I went down to her coaching program, and we ended up becoming good friends with her coaching program. And she would have us go down to the Whole Foods market, and she would set us down at a small table and want to know why everyone was here, and she would give you a book. If you wanted if you had heart problems, she'd refer you to Dr. Esselstyn's book on reversing heart disease, and diabetes would be Dr. Neil Barnard's book on preventing and reversing diabetes program. And then if it was just weight loss, which is what I was there for, was Dr. McDougall's maximum weight loss plan. Well, that was the book I was already following. So I said, okay, fine. So, this is for me. She's going to coach me on the plan I'm already on anyway, that I know I can be successful on. So her plan lasted for 30 days. She would also then walk us through the store and show us what we needed to buy that would be healthy, and say, stay away from here. Don't even walk down this aisle. This aisle has nothing good for you. Don't walk down this aisle. These are the foods you need to stay healthy. Then every day you would have to send her your food journal. And that was great. And then she would start nitpicking as to you had regular yellow mustard. Well, don't you know there's salt-free yellow mustard out there?
There
Find some of
is?
the, yeah.
I've never seen
Well, at the
yellow
time,
salt.
at
Wow.
the time there was West Spray.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's right.
So, as I say, she would start nitpicking and critiquing. And if I did something that wasn't the best for my body, she would let me know. And then she got to where it was about the exercise. Okay, it looks like you did really well on your food and on your water intake today, but what are you doing for exercise? Well, that's where I was really falling down. I was not doing any exercise. So I did meet up with other meetup plans. I joined walking groups. And in the walking groups, that was really great. But these people that were walking, they were not eating healthy at all. And then I got to where I was talking to them about water fasting. And some of these people are like, what the hell are you talking about? We got a freak here amongst us, including Rick Swanner, my boyfriend, Rick. He had that same feeling that, what is she talking about with water fast? She's some kind of weirdo there. But anyway, I continued on the plan, and I say that was 2013, and I'm still on the plan, and I'm off all my medications. I'm at a stable weight. When I did get my weight down, the leanest was when I was exercising a lot. When I stopped exercising a lot, the weight started creeping back on. But it never got ridiculous, you know. It never got out of control. I went down to my lowest was 112 pounds, and I did that on your ultimate weight loss program. Through Linda Middlesworth, she introduced me to you. And I saw you at an event in Sacramento, and you were doing a kicking demonstration, and then you stood on your head. I'm going, wow, look at that woman standing on her head. I wouldn't even attempt to do that. But I thought you were fabulous. And then my friend that was with me, we went over and bought your book and had you sign it. And my friend was saying that she needed a cup of coffee. And you asked her, how did she take her coffee? And she says, oh, with lots of cream and sugar, which is what I used to do also. And you told her, then you don't like coffee. You like the cream and sugar. I'm going, that's exactly right. So when I started with the coffee, my coffee was not brown in color. It was, the cream, because I had so much cream and sugar in it. And I weaned myself off of that and got to black coffee. And then I finally just said, I'm done with coffee. So I haven't had coffee now. And oh my gosh, it's been 10 years probably since I've had a cup of coffee. I do like the smell of coffee though. That smell comes back and I like that. But I had gotten down with Dr. McDougall's plan to where I thought I was at a really great weight. I felt really healthy, and that was good. I felt great. And then the UWL plan, your plan is stricter than the Dr. McDougall Mansfield weight loss plan is. And I said, well, they're only asking for flour products and alcohol. I don't need to have alcohol. I haven't, I was never a big alcohol drinker anyway. But the flour products was a different thing, because on his program, I could have flour tortillas, and I could have pizza crust and bread for sandwiches. So I gave those things up when I went on UWL program. And that's when the excess weight, or that's when I became trim, was with the UWL program. But also with the UWL program, what I really enjoyed was a community. At that time, we had a very active Facebook group, and it was wonderful. Your program was just exactly what I needed. And I had gotten the DVDs, and I listened to the DVDs over and over. Every day I had at least one of your DVDs, if I didn't listen to all 4 of them from the same day. I knew that I needed to be brainwashed to make this my lifestyle, to make it easy. And the longer I do this, this is just so easy now. My life is so very good. But one of the things I want to say that I feel is very, very important is the exercise piece. To make yourself feel strong, you need to have muscles. And whenever I work out, I feel strong. I have muscles. I feel like I can do anything when I'm working out, and I stand straighter. And to me, that's terrific because I want to be able to, get down on the floor and get back up. There's so many things I want to do. Rich and I go hiking all the time, or we go traveling. We can work out together. I mean, life is good. My life is good. And another thing that's very important is gratitude. That's another thing that I started practicing was gratitude. So every day I get up and, I'm ready to go. Thank God I woke up again. I had a good night's sleep. I woke up. I have a smile on my face when I wake up. I remember the old days. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the alarm clock. Let me turn it off. I feel miserable. Like I'm dragging myself out of bed, get to the coffee pot and get off to work. Like, life is so good now. I'm retired. I can do whatever I want. There's no one to tell me what to do or not to do. So I'm just enjoying this life, and I am grateful for every moment. I think about it that my parents were both born 99 years ago. They are both born into farmhouses in Arkansas with no water, no electric lights, no heating, air conditioning, no inside plumbing. All of those things we have now and get to enjoy. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so grateful to be here now. I mean, I could have easily been born, a generation or two before this and not have all these wonderful conveniences we have now. But my life is really good, and I'm very thankful. And when I start appreciating all the small things, that, as JP always talks about, appreciate the fact that you can chop vegetables, that you have fresh vegetables to chop up, and just concentrate on that, on your chopping your vegetables. That's almost like meditation right there. And then I love to work out in my garden and, plant things and watch them grow and go out in nature. I live close to the American River Parkway, so we can go out and walk on the river trails. And I'm just enjoying life. I mean, life is so good. But as I say, it got elevated, not just with the weight loss, but once I started thinking positive and having gratitude for everything, life just got so much better.
This is a wonderful.
So that's really my short condensed version. I don't know how long that took, but yeah, that was my short condensed version.
That's great, Dixie. And this is a wonderful success story. There's a few questions if you wouldn't mind answering. And the first one is from Sharon. And do you mind sharing your age?
My age, I'm 67. I'll be 68 in September.
Nice. Thank you. And Jay was commenting when you were making the delicious recipe that it's like a poor man's pot roast.
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's no meat in there. But the poor man syndrome is it's not to be considered that this is poor, but to be considered that this is a healthy version. But also this is a cheaper version. I have so much more money now in my food budget than I had when I was buying meat products and dairy products. And the cheese, I used to have the whole drawer that was nothing full of but cheese. It's like my food budget is so small now. Yeah, life is good.
Yeah. Maya's wondering if you could make a gravy with the leftover broth. I don't see why you couldn't,
I haven't tried that, but yeah, why not?
Yep. Okay. Well, I know that you watch this show because I see you as a faithful viewer in the chat along with Rich. So you know that just about every guest gets the question, what do you eat in a day? And has it changed throughout your weight loss journey? How long have you maintained this weight loss now?
Let's see. Well, it took me 1 year. In 1 year, I lost 50 pounds. And then the next year, I lost 4 pounds. And that was all on the Dr. McDougall plan. But then I stepped things up, and as I went into UWL, things started going faster. But I was upping my my exercise a lot, so that kept me trim. But I got down to 112 pounds. And
how tall are you, Dixie?
I'm 5'2".
Oh,
I used to be almost 5'4", but I've shrunk a little bit over the years. But yeah, I'm 5'2" now. And I really feel best when I'm hanging around the 120s. And that's where I am now. But the 112, when I was there, people that I had known before would say, "Oh, you look too skinny now." And even my brother, I said, well, at one time I was weighing 118, And my brother was here and he hadn't seen me in a year. And I said, I weigh what I weighed in high school. He says, it doesn't look the same. You looked healthy in high school. You don't look healthy now. You look skinny. And I'm going, why do I not look healthy when I've been eating nothing but healthy vegetables and fruits, for all this time? I said, I am healthy. All my blood tests and what have you show that I'm healthy. He says, but you don't look healthy. You just, when I look at you, I see skinny. And I'm going, well, I am skinny because I wasn't doing a lot of weightlifting, and the weightlifting is what builds the muscles. And I put a few more pounds on with the weightlifting. One of the things I do want to say is I had gone to your conferences in Las Vegas, which those were fabulous events. And at one of the events, I was weighing 112. And I got on their stage and told my story in front of, the hundreds of people that were there. And I felt very proud for that. And then with the following year, I had been listening to a couple of the plant-based doctors, the big names, that were saying that you're going to get Alzheimer's or dementia if you don't start eating nuts. And I was like going, okay, my mother died of Alzheimer's. I don't want that road at all. So I started adding some nuts, and I wasn't adding crazy amounts of nuts. I was adding it, just some into my salads and things. And I put on 9 pounds in that year. And I had the body impedance test done. Dr. Carrie Saunders, I think that was her name, was there doing these tests at the convention. So I had one done each year. I had gained 9 pounds of fat during that year. And I could not believe it. I'm going, all that was 9 pounds of fat. So that was a real eye-opener, because, as I say, I wasn't eating that much nuts that I thought, and they say, oh, have an ounce a day. Well, that's like what I was having. So I cut out having the nuts all the time. So now if I have nuts, they're in desserts. And I don't have desserts at my house anymore. I save the desserts for if I'm going to go to a potluck, I'll bring a dessert there. Rich loves desserts, and he will often bring me a cookie or whatever he made at his home. He'll bring it over and say, oh, you got to try this one, or what do you think about this? But I try to stay away from desserts because I know if they're in my house, they're going to be calling my name, and I'd rather stay away from them. I've done really well with staying away from non-healthy foods. When I first started out, I used the skull and crossbones. I would think, okay, that is a food that's going to make me fat. That's a food that's going to, excite my taste buds and want me to have more of it. Or it's a food that might get me off my plan because it might taste so good. It's going to want me to have it more and more. And then it's going to start the weight coming back up. And I want to stay out of the medical profession at all costs. And so this is my cost. My cost to stay out of the medical profession is to take care of myself, and that's to eat healthy foods and keep my environment clean. I also think about food that's not mine. Okay, if I didn't make the food, or like, say, for instance, I go to my daughter's house and they've got, food that's made with things that I don't eat any longer. That's not my food. I don't touch it. That's not my food. That's my daughter's food. That's her and her family's food. That was not made for me. So I often bring my own food, even when I go to my daughter's house. I used to have all the big parties were at my house. We always go to grandma's house to have all the holidays. Well, that has stopped. When I was to the point where I was letting my daughter bring the food over. My daughter lived 2 blocks away. When I moved here, my daughter lived 2 blocks away. So they would cook the meat item over at her house and bring it over, and I would have healthy foods here. And then other family members would bring, potluck foods also. And so we'd have our big parties, holiday celebrations. But then I got to the point where, I don't even want that cooked food brought to my house. So we're going to make this an all vegan. There's no meat allowed at my house at all. Well, the other people didn't like that. So then one of the other relatives says, well, I'll start having Thanksgiving at my house. It's like, oh, okay, fine. We can go Thanksgiving at your house. I still have, Easter and Christmas Eve, that's fine. So then it just got to the point where they didn't want only vegan food. But that's okay. They are on their unhealthy path. I am not. I am healthy. I'm trying to show them that this is the correct way to eat. This is the lifestyle that they need to have. It's not just a temporary diet. I know that every time we would get together for an event, my overweight relatives and extended family would come in and they look at me and it's like, damn, she's still thin. She didn't gain all of her weight back. It's like they're disappointed and they want me to gain all my weight back so they could say, see, that's not what you should be doing. But I'm here like, no, this is what you should be doing. We all should be eating this way, the plant-based way. And that's my story.
Wow. So Dixie, what time do you start eating in the morning?
Usually a couple hours after I get up. I like to get up and, I like to get up and get the lymph node fluid moving in my body. Dr. Sabatino talks about that. So I will, shake my body around. I do a lot of stretching exercises. I do leg lifts. I like to get on the floor or on my bed and do all kinds of Pilates moves. So I want to get my exercise in. I run through my house. I have a full gym in my house, but I don't use it for the most part. I use the dumbbells and the weight machines. I use those, but the bicycle and the treadmill, I'm not on those as often as I should. I really should step up the aerobic part, but I run through my house. I do a lot of silly things. I try to bring play into my day. And that was something I wasn't doing before. It's like, wow, I don't smile very much anymore or laugh very much. So I'm trying to find things that make me feel silly. What kind of things that I can do. So I pretend to get my exercise by pretending to use things. Like I'll pretend I have a hula hoop. I don't have one, but I'll pretend I have a hula hoop on, and here I am hulaing. I'm getting my exercise doing a hula, and I'm having fun. So I'm laughing at myself being silly because I'm hula hooping without a hula hoop. Or I'll play basketball. This is a credit to Dr. Doug Lyle. I'll pretend I have a basketball, and I'm dribbling. I'm dribbling. I'm going all over from dribbling. Oh, now this hand, dribbling, and then whoo, jump shots. Pickleball. I can pretend like I'm playing pickleball. I haven't even been on a pickleball court yet, but I can pretend like I'm on one and just swing around and run around and act kind of goofy and have fun. And so you don't have to have a court or a pickleball racket, but just have fun. You turn on a YouTube video on exercise. There's millions of them on YouTube. Find one you like and just do it, whatever it is. Whether you're walking, they have walking videos, all kinds of videos showing you how to lift weights. I mean, tons and tons. Whatever you like to do, it's online.
So let's see. There's a question from a viewer asking, was it just weight loss or did you actually reverse any diseases?
I was pre-diabetic was my disease, but I had high cholesterol and high blood pressure and acid reflux for the GERD. So those were the things I changed. I got those all healthy, and I don't need any of those medications anymore.
Do you stop eating after dinner?
I do.
Great.
I feel the best when I do that, and I actually try to eat so we're done eating like by 5:30. Dinner's done. That's would be my goal. And I'm down to, for the most part, I eat just 2 meals a day. I'll have a breakfast and a dinner. And oftentimes, if I have a third meal, my third meal is either soup or a salad. So in the morning, I often have what I'll call a grain, a bootable. So I'll have leftovers of whatever's in the refrigerator, but there's always a grain, there's a steamed green and vegetables. Like tomorrow morning, I'll be eating this along with some steamed kale. That'll probably be my breakfast. I have some brown rice in the refrigerator right now, so I'll probably have that also, but that'll be my breakfast for tomorrow. But soups and salads are my biggest thing. Just having oatmeal, soup or salad, that is a good day of food for me. And then throw a couple of pieces of fruit in there if I get a little hungry. But I want to try to listen to my body. You had this doctor visiting from India just a few weeks ago, and I was talking to her about diet, and she said, and I was talking to her about turmeric and some other things, and she says, what you need to do is listen to your body. And I'm going, yeah, you're right. Listen to your body. And I was thinking about other things I've heard about that. It's like when I was first trying to lose weight, it's like, well, why are you at the refrigerator? You know, are you really hungry? And is that why you're opening the refrigerator door? Are you opening the refrigerator door because you're procrastinating? You should be doing something else that you don't want to do. So you're going to stall by eating. Or are you bored? Or are you lonely? And it's like going, okay, I'm a lot of these things. I live alone. You know, a lot of these things pop up. I need to find things that make me happy, bring me joy. But she said, listen to your body. And I'm going, well, that's it. She said, you don't have to eat if you're not hungry, you know, just because it's the time of the day, it's lunchtime, you should be eating. Well, not necessarily. I actually eat more now that we go to a lot more potlucks and restaurants. In fact, tonight the plan is we're going to go to Al's meetup at Vegan Fresh to You for dinner, and that starts at 5:30. So I enjoy the things where we do have an earlier meal that we stop. So I have at least 4 hours in empty stomach before I go to bed. I shouldn't say empty, but I allow my stomach 4 hours to empty before I go to bed.
Great, thank you. Katie, who's watching on Instagram, says she has been on a plant-based diet for 2 months, lost 10 pounds while eating a lot and enjoying her food. She feels so much better. Congratulations, Katie. And she wants to know, what about protein? How much protein do you have each day?
I have no clue. I have no clue. I just eat vegetables and fruit and greens and grains and beans. And I get some of that every day. And yeah, I don't count how much protein or anything else I'm getting.
Nice. Somebody's asking, what is your go-to breakfast?
My go-to, well, I say it would be whatever's left over in the refrigerator. If I had leftover soup or oatmeal, I like oatmeal a lot. And that would be one of my go-to, I guess, would be oatmeal with blueberries. Now today I have leftover rice in the house. So I had brown rice with a little soy milk on it from Trader Joe's, which is just the soy milk in the water, and blueberries and some cinnamon. So that's what I had for my breakfast this morning.
Nice. And Jay wants to know if your children went plant-based.
No, they have not. But my children, my daughter and her husband have just turned 45, and health issues are coming up with them now. And my daughter keeps saying, yeah, I know, Mom, what you're saying is the right thing to do. We'll get there someday. And going, well, her husband was diagnosed with high blood pressure recently and put on the pills, and he didn't like it. So then he started to say, well, what can I do to get off the pills? So he went through and cleaned their house of all the food that had a lot of salt in it and sugar. And he stopped coffee, which I thought was very impressive because he was one of these guys. They had a coffee bar at their house with the espresso machines and all the gadgets for the coffee. And he stopped all of that, and he stopped soda, and he dropped 18 pounds doing that rather quickly. So I was really impressed with him. And it's like going, okay, the next step is to get rid of the dairy products. I haven't talked to him yet, but I want to see how he's doing, if he's still keeping up on the plan, because he dropped that weight and people are commenting on how good he looks. I said, yeah, your big stomach's going down. So that's great. My daughter's at a good size. She's not really overweight. I guess she could probably stand to lose another, I don't know, 15, 20 pounds, but she's not having issues with that, but she is now going through the change of life. So with that, she's feeling that she needs to make some changes. Last time she was here, I was telling her, you need to add some soy to your diet. But they are listening, but they've been watching. Even my grandkids, when I start talking about food, they say, I know, Grandma. And they'll start telling me whatever it is I was going to start telling them again. They'll tell me the rest of it. It's like, oh, you are listening. Well, thank you. So
Colleen
they're listening, they hear it, but they're just not doing it yet.
Right. Colleen is pointing out that for some people, someday may be too late.
That's right.
Are your kids watching this? Because I don't see Rich in the chat.
Rich is not in the chat.
Well,
Richard, where are you?
well, I mean, maybe he is. He just didn't post because usually he's one of the first ones. He's probably watching some other show. Rich, where are you? That's so funny.
Uh,
I'm curious, the brother that thought you were too, or that thinks you're still too thin, is he overweight?
he's overweight and he's diabetic. And he just last Monday had an angiogram done. And I talked to him on Thursday and they did not find any blockages, but he has congestive heart failure and he was waiting to talk to his doctor.
Yeah, it's funny.
And,
Dr.
I
Gold,
have sent him Dr. Esselstyn's book on preventing and reversing heart disease. I sent him that book like 3 years ago. I also sent him the book, Dr. Neil Bernard's plan for reversing or preventing diabetes. I sent him both those books. So I said, okay, well, get online while you're waiting for your doctor. Get online and look up ways to reverse heart disease. Okay, I'll take a look at it. Okay.
Just so you know, Rich posted he's here. He didn't want to step on your debut. You know, I don't know if you ever heard this, but
he is so sweet. He's very, very good for me.
and he has the best balls, peanut butter balls, that is. Don't get your mind out of the gutter. He comes.
Yeah, he brought me one of those when we went to the potluck because he's such a sweet man. He drives 25 minutes over to my house and he brings me in the plate of the peanut butter balls and we put that in the refrigerator and he's got a little one all wrapped up like a little gift for me. Here, I brought you a package or, a present. He's just so very, very sweet. Hey, so I opened it up and take it and it's like, wow, this is really good. So, okay, then we're messing around getting the rest of the stuff ready to go to the potluck. And I'm going, I want another one of those. Well, that tasted really good. I'd like to have another one. And I knew there was a plate of them in the refrigerator. Like, oh, no, those are not for me. Those are for the potluck. Right. So speaking of the I didn't touch them, but even after all this time, it's like, ooh, there it is. It can come back quickly as to you'd want to eat more and more. And those things are no doubt high calorie density, even if they are small. What's great about them is though they're 2 bites, maybe 3 at the very most. Or if you've got you can even throw it down, just make it 1 bite. But they are very, very good. No, he is very, very, very good to me. I'm very lucky to have him. He's a great travel partner. We go to Hawaii. I've been there. I used to think I never wanted to go to Hawaii, thinking that was such a long, long trip. But now we've been there. I think I've been there 8 times. And we always go to Costco and then to Walmart. And he's got it playing down. This is the food we're going to have while we're there. And this is all the things we're going to need for the food. These are the aisles that they are on in the Walmart store that we're going to go and get them. And so because Walmart stores over there are extremely busy. And you need to bring your own cloth bags there. Otherwise, they charge you 80 cents a bag to get out of the store to carry the items. But we have it all planned down. It works really well. It's like we know this is what we're going to have. We're going to have we'll have oatmeal for breakfast. We'll have a big salad for lunch, and then we'll have burrito bowls, spaghetti, and stir fry twice each night. We'll have those things, and then we'll have plenty of fruit. So that's what we have.
Well, Dixie, okay, it's time to go. Well, I just want you to show your dish one more time. Okay. And I want to tell people that if they want to meet, that is so beautiful. If you'd like to taste Dixie's pot roasted vegetables and Rich's peanut butter balls, sign up for my free meetup, Healthy Living in Lincoln with Chef AJ. They come all the time, except they're within Hawaii. Dixie, I just wanted to tell you something that Dr. Goldhammer said, because your brother's comment to how you're too thin. He says, the person that tells the person they're too thin is never as thin as the person they're telling it to. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dixie, you're a true inspiration. Thank you so much for all the beautiful food that you and Rich bring to the potluck and for your friendship and for sharing your story. Thank you. Yeah, you did a great job. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time for some more fabulous vegan SOS-free food created by Chef Del Sroof in honor of Cinco de Mayo. He's going to be making a Mexican brownie sundae and Chipotle corn cakes. You don't want to miss it.